How's it going? I hope it's going well. The music is a little loud. There we go. Let's bring up those levels just a bit so that you can hear it. Thank you, Stream Elements. Love you, baby. And hopefully that should be all we need. I turned up my volume last night, so we should be good. Lewis, huh? Alright, so today we're gonna get storage system set up. Storage. What kind of storage do we have? Extra discs. Oh, we have drawers. Increases maximum energy capacity. Access a storage network remotely. Go ahead and get our axe. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Oh. Awaken it. And we're out of green. Luckily we have 2 green trees. Let's go ahead and make book and quill. I'm missing the book, of course I am. And now we have a second bookworm. Let's go ahead and make some diamond chests. Diamond chest. Bobbly heart canisters. Why do I have these pinned? I want them no longer pinned. Be gone. Oak diamond chest. Where's our supply of wood? I need one more diamond chest. Netherite B. Diamond B feeded netherite block. And you get an ancient B, which I assume produces ancient debris. Netherite generators, what do those do? Oh, they generate power, duh. Netherite autocrafter, I assume autocrafts things fast. Ah, I am intelligente. I'm so smart. Look at me. AIoT. Audio. Axle. Okay, so you need one of each tool and all of the modium. Okay. And we're gonna want 2 of those, one for Silk Touch. Oh yeah, let's not forget wands. 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that should be enough storage for now. I don't know what that red bar in the bottom left of the screen is. That doesn't actually seem very good. I don't want them to be randomly teleported away from me. What we want is a bunch of crystal heart charms. want to test out this mining dimension. Is that diamonds? Sapphire. Let's figure out what we need to make a digital miner. I'm already bored. Alright, digital miner. YouTube. Digital miner. All the mods.
This machine in front of us is the digital miner. This is a fantastic piece of equipment from, of course, Mechanism that we can use to mine up things from the earth without really having to go down and get it ourselves. Now, it's made using Robit here and a few other materials. If we look at the digital miner, you can see here it needs some logistical sorters, which is some iron ingots, a basic control circuit and a piston, Robit, which needs some refined obsidian, teleportation cores needing atomic alloys. It's not really that complex if you're already at this sort of level.
Yes, it is complex. Explain to me. Explain to me.
Click on it, you can see that there's quite a lot going on here. So let's take it step by step.
Explain to me. I have no idea how to use Mechanism. Please. Please explain to me. Super fast quarry.
I'm Chosen Architect, and this does a little bit more material, and that might be a possibility very, very soon. So now, how exactly is this All the Might even going to help me? Well, it actually unlocks the ability for us to make a builder from RF Tools, which was recently added to the pack, as it just now got updated. But the builder is such a tremendous tool for gathering resources. And honestly, in my opinion, it exceeds the power of things like, for example, the Mechanism Digital Miner and many others. Because not only can you use it to actually build predefined structures that you can set up inside of cards, but you can also completely wipe an entire area. Like, it can also deconstruct along with its building function. And don't even get me started on its potentials with fluid handling. Yeah, it can actually clear fluids as well. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention too, it can place fluids. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty well-rounded tool, this said builder. And I'm going to show you how to utilize this builder the best I can, because it can be a little bit on the complicated side whenever we get into the GUI. But it could be very simple depending on how you go about setting this up. Now, the reason we needed that
We're using the
Allthemodium
builder
is because we
then.
need all the Modium nuggets for the recipe for this builder. So taking some of these nuggets, and we can store them for later. Keep in mind the number that we used here, 9. This needs 4, right? And we also need an ender pearl. And this is why we set up a mob farm, right? Tons of mods use ender pearls in their recipes. Like, I'm not kidding. There's so many use this. But there we go. We have a ton of ender pearls that we can gather right here, and we can get this made. Right now, this is just one part of the builder, because there's actually several other things that we're going to need in order to get this working. But as of right now, just keep in mind, this is a builder, and we're going to need power. We're also going to need a lever, somewhere to store items that are placed on top of this, And that's about it. Well, we are going to need a shape card, right? A shape card is going to allow us to do those things that I mentioned earlier, whether it was place or gather fluids, or build shapes with the shape card, or you have right here just completely.
Let me quickly set up a window capture so that you guys can see. Not that. Yes, that one. And boop.
Clear an area. And we can kind of pick and choose what we want it to do. There are different types of quarry cards. We can have it mine the ore. We can have it then replace that position with dirt, which is very server friendly. Or you can have it just completely wipe an entire area, setting it to air. So let's get this done. The one I'm really going to want right now is just going to be a clearing quarry. I think that's going to be one of the best ones to get set up. And it's going to cost a diamond pickaxe and a shovel. And it's also going to cost a shape card, which is very, very cheap. So the base quarry here places dirt. Nothing we really have to worry about there. But I do want the clearing version. The clearing version will actually remove the blocks in the area, like I said. So just surround it by glass, and we're ready to go. Now, there's also a fortune quarry that you can get later on. The fortune card does cost a little bit more to make. You do need a little bit more here. It's also going to cost a bit more power, I do believe, to run. So I'm not super worried about it right yet. Later on, this could be an option. I think Silk Touch would be a really good option, but that costs another star. And as much as I know I could
can get
definitely
another star.
kill a wither at this point, I probably don't want to do that just yet. Oh yeah, and it also costs more power, which is the thing we're trying to avoid. Now, speaking of power, we can actually infuse the builder here with the dimensional shards, and this will actually reduce the amount of power that will be consumed. You can see right here, infusion bonus will reduce power consumption and increase its speed. So it's kind of a win-win to do this if you have enough shards. And I think you really only need like 2 stacks of shards to fully infuse something. So it would definitely be worth placing this down, and we are going to need some base power. So actually, let's go ahead and put this over here, right? And we're going to have this working while we're working on other things, right? That's going to start to build up. We put the machine in, and we put the shards in, and these are going to slowly but surely start infusing our builder. Now, this step isn't 100% necessary, but it is going to help later on. Now, after taking a look at that,
I don't know how to use power. We need a generator. Alright, let's get started with a generator. Generator. You want to probably make an emerald generator. An 8 times emerald generator. That's interesting. Iron, copper, furnace. I need more copper. Copper generator. How many echo shards do we have? We probably don't. We probably don't need an 8 times generator. Iron. Oh, we need the block of redstone. Gold, diamond, emerald. That's a lot. Ender generator. Obsidian generator. We have ourselves our generator. Let's actually make a stack of coal blocks. 42 should do the trick. Don't need the teleport pad anymore. Alright, next we need that's a lot of RF. Next we need
Actually, and so I'm gonna go run around, basically around the lava level, and this is a really good level, by the way, to be able to find those dimensional shards. And with a little bit of fortune, yeah, we should be able to collect quite a bit. So now,
dimensional shards. In the nether. Not the mining tunnel, you fool. zinc, nether quartz. Hmm. Let's see. Ooh. This is kind of what we're looking for. Dimensional shard or a stack and 12, that should do nicely. Home. We'll switch that out for normal coal. Coal. Now, what do I need to make here?
Perfect. We have a 100% infused builder, but I'm going to collect quite a bit to find those dimensional shards. Lava level, and this is a really good. I'm going to go run. Now, after taking the builder, we put the machine, and we're going to have this working while we're working on other things, right?
Machine infuser? Machine infuser? And we'll hook that up to our...
That's going to start to build up. We put the machine in, and we put the shards in, and these are going to slowly...
Hook that up to the builder. We need more gold nugs. He said it would only take 2 stacks to fully infuse. I was lied to. He lied to me.
But surely start infusing our builder. Now this step isn't 100% necessary, but it is going to help later on. Now after taking a look at that, it looks like it's going to avoid. Now speaking of power, we can actually infuse the builder here with Fortune Quarry that you can get.
Clearing fortune. Quarry. Clearing. Need bricks, so I need clay. Don't tell me I can build something when I so clearly cannot. Quarry. Fortune quarry. Shape card. Clearing quarry. I just used my diamond silk touch. It's fine, we have an enchanting setup now. Let's go kill a wither. Soul sand. Thank you for following. How's it going? Or if you don't want to respond, then don't. Forgot the music. There we go. Killer Woods, huh? This should be big enough. Where's my star? No. Well, I guess we can fight another one. Hey, more dark gems. That's good. We needed those. There it is. I forgot that I had my sword juicing drops. $64 does a 25% infusion. Let's go ahead and get some more dimensional shards. do, 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 do. Dimensional shards. Almost there. Oh, hey. Alright, that's the amount that we need. Home. Welcome home, everybody. Stretch it out. Alright, let's get back to this video.
Later on, the fortune card does cost a little bit more to make. You do need a little bit more here. It's also going to cost a bit more power and blue tools. I'm not super worried about it right yet. Later on, this could be an option. I think Silk Touch would be a really good option for that Nether Star. And as much as I know I could definitely kill a Wither at this point, I probably don't want to do that just yet. Oh yeah, and it also costs more power, which is the thing we're trying to avoid. Now, speaking of power, we can actually infuse the builder here with the dimensional shards, and this will,
Yes.
and I think you really only build it. Now, this step isn't 100% necessary, but it is going to help later on. Now, after taking a look at that, it looks like it's going to take about 4 stacks, actually, and so I'm going to go run around basically around the lava level, and this is really stopping me from just mining underneath my base and just potentially destroying every single ore block underneath me. But what if I did it in another area? And that's where those other nuggets from the Aldermodium really are going to shine, right? Because there is a mining dimension that is a part of the Aldermodium mod. And as I mentioned last episode, it is the teleport pad that it'll take you to the beyond. The end in the beyond, by the way, is a void dimension. So if you're really wanting that skyblock feel, the void dimension is really cool. And I think it's also like everything's lit up as well, which is kind of weird, but yeah, you're in a void dimension. But in the overworld, if we use this, this is going to do something a little bit different. It's going to send us to the beautiful mining dimension. And if I remember correctly, this shares basically all 3 dimensions stacked on top of each other in this dimension. So up at the top levels, you have the overworld, and then it goes a little bit to the nether, and then at the very bottom is the end. I mean, things may have been changed since then, but that's how it was last time I played. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place my pedestal down right here. You don't need this, but this is for decoration, and I would just want to use it to place my teleport pad, so I just don't have the pad directly on the ground. And there we go. So now we have the ability to click this, just right-click it, and that should teleport us. I think it's shift right-click maybe, or regular right-click. Shift right-click? Shift right-click. So shift right-click takes us to the mining dimension. Now,
Yes, I know about the mining
so I
dimension.
just mine down here to just make sure that it eventually goes to the nether and the end, and as you can see right here, it 100% does. So yes, this is a very, very high mining dimension. It goes all the way up, like the actual Y level that we start on is like in the 200s, right? Like right near build height. It's very, very high up. 253 blocks is where we're standing. So yeah, this is something we're gonna have to account for when using the builder. So for right now, let's go ahead and place this bad boy down and let's take a look at how this works. So as of right now, there's nothing set up. We don't have any power going into this. We're telling it basically nothing at all. So to be able to define the working area, we can do this a couple of different ways. We can go ahead and we can shift right click on this. And whenever we do this, we're locking the position of the builder itself. And then we can go ahead and select a corner, for example, this corner. And then we can select another corner. Let's say we build up a little bit and we go, okay, we want to mine up here, and we select that. You can also go down, by the way. Whenever we put this in, we should be able to then render a preview of the said selected area. So this is kind of how that works, right? So now we have a selected area outlined. And of course, we can click the support preview to remove that. And this is going to be how we work this out. So what I typically like to do is I like to take my shape and I like to shift right click it and then set my first corner. For example, we can go all the way over here. I can say this is my first corner, and then all the way out here, I can go, here's my second corner, right? I don't have to set a super large area. This is sort of big enough, right? Now, those areas are defined, and inside of the GUI here, we have the dimensions set right here, and then we have our offset that we're going to have to worry about. But don't let these numbers scare you, because
Those are scary numbers.
The only real number that we really need to worry about right here is going to be the vertical position, which is this number right here. Now, the reason the middle number is set to 1 is because we only selected this block height right here. So just a single block high in our little setup. And we can actually see that whenever we hit that support preview. You can see this is the only block selected. And if I break the bottom, for example, and then I redo the preview, you'll actually see that again, that yeah, there's nothing else there, just a single block color. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are completely aware of how to do all of the customizations for this, so you can definitely skip ahead if you know what you're doing. This is mainly for those who
I want to see.
or this might be their first experience.
Yeah.
with building. So now let's get into the fun part, right? Defining the area, and we can do this by expanding this first. Let's set this to, for example, 15 blocks tall. For example, place this in there, and we can now see the preview has expanded, but this isn't 15 blocks tall. And that's where the bottom number really comes into play. See, when we originally shift right clicked that card onto the builder, we set it as its center point, essentially. And it is in respects to the center position of the builder, which is based on the current Y value that we're at. So when we start to modify this number, we kind of want this number to be basically half of what we have defined here in the negatives if we want it to go underground, that is. So I just set that number to -7, and now whenever I preview it, you can see it went completely down. But if I was to make this +7, and by the way, I'm not clicking this button because right now it will cause crashes, may not in the future, but as of right now it does. If I go ahead and make this a +7, then most of that 15 should be on the surface. So placing that back in, we can now see that looks more like 15 blocks. So now if we want to make a quarry that's 253 blocks tall and covers the entirety of this area, how would we go about doing that? Well, we definitely at first want to define the area as being 256 blocks tall. Now that is quite a tall structure, but we needed to go now down underground. And now if you really wanted to be simple about it, you could count all of these blocks leading up and just subtract that basically from the offset on this value right here. Or what we can do is we can now take that value that we set it to, this number, and just basically divide it in half. So if we do minus 128, which is half of this value, that should now basically be in the position that we want, with this being the topmost block. And I know,
Okay.
ooh, math, but this is actually a really good skill to learn. So now I have my quarry defined, but we haven't really.
It's a
set
really good
anything
skill to
mine,
learn.
right? And what it will do right now is it will just mine everything that's in here, right, in the shape that we defined. As soon as we give this power, it's just going to start mining and filling up a container that goes on top. But I don't necessarily want to mine everything just yet, because what if there's like certain things that we really just want? Like, let's say we just need a bunch of diamonds right now, and we want to quickly gather those. Well, we can actually define that inside of this filter slot. So let's go ahead and learn how to set this filter up. So when we click this, you'll notice that this GUI is kind of open here, and we can do a couple of different things. We can add tags directly, which is what I definitely recommend. I don't think we can drag directly from JEI, but if you had the block in your inventory, you can shift right click it into here. And this is going to set up a whitelist filter. Now, right from the start, we can go ahead and add tags, and we can kind of search in here, diamonds. And you can see right here, there is C dust. C is basically the new common tag for specific things. So C ores diamond is actually what we're looking for. And this is going to be in relation to every sort of ore in the game. So C ores / iron or gold and so on and so forth. And this should allow you to specifically search for these ores. And as soon as I click,
Filter. What is it called?
this, double click this, you'll see ores / for. You can click add tag, learn how to actually define that inside of this filter slot. So let's go ahead and learn how to set this filter up. So when we click
Filter
this,
module. Module. Ah. Nice and simple. I'm kicking my feet. I'm so happy. I'm kicking my feet. Is that builder at? Northwest corner. Silk Touch Quarry. Do a single run and stop. Back to the video.
You'll notice that this GUI is kind of open here, and we can do a couple of different things. We can add tags directly, which is what I definitely recommend. I don't think we can drag directly from JEI, but if you had the block in your inventory, you can shift right click it into here. And this is going to set up a whitelist filter. Now, right from the start, we can go ahead and add tags, and we can kind of search in here, diamonds. And you can see right here, there is C dust. C is basically the new common tag for specific things. So when I
Yes,
diamond,
we've seen this.
and whenever this goes in this slot, that is the only thing that this builder is actually going to mine when it does its scan. And this should save us on a ton of power if we're doing specific ore lookups like this. But let's go ahead and get our barrel on here and get the lever on here. We have just about everything ready to go, right? We have an inventory for things to go in. We have redstone signal to turn it on, but we're missing the primary thing, right? That it needs. Power. And a few episodes ago, we set up this power, but is this the best option for power? And the more I looked in the configs, the more I have to say, yes, this is great because it has a charging slot and has been fantastic for allowing me to charge my batteries. But there is a competitor to this Emerald generator, and they can basically do the same thing, by the way, but it generates a little bit more power. And that is going to be the Iron Furnaces mod. But wait a minute. Furnace mod? That's just a furnace. Well, it can actually be a generator, believe it or not. And now if I'm reading this config right, like a diamond furnace, for example, with the generator upgrade in it, will produce 240 RF per tick. And then an emerald, for example, will do 320 RF per tick. The obsidian will do 500 RF per tick. And the netherite will do 1,000 RF per tick. And it can all run off of lava buckets. And I can definitely make the obsidian furnace, and I 100% believe that I can actually make the netherite as well. I do have debris that we farmed up last episode with that method. And
Hit it with a hammer. Yes.
We can actually make quite a bit of this, right? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4, and still some left over to go hunt for more if need be. And just like that, bam, we have ourselves now a netherite furnace that can produce 1,000 RF per tick if the configs are correct. And now to make this actually work like a generator, we have to have the augment generator, which just requires a repeater. It's so cheap to make. And this will go inside of this. And this now has an inventory slot that can be pulled and pushed from. These, unfortunately, I do not believe work, but you can pipe from it. And we grab a bucket. Let's see, one of these. Let's grab a little bit of lava, and let's just see what this looks like whenever we put this in here. Because this is going to be actually ridiculous, right? Inside of here, it just is producing 1,000 a tick. Like, we're already at 100K. It's so quick. And because we can generate lava indefinitely, this process is going to be very easy to set up. And it looks like it generates even faster with a speed upgrade inside. Now, I think I've come up with a much, much more elegant version of this that actually doesn't require any of the Ender IO conduits in the back, meaning less configuration, meaning you can scale this up a little bit easier. The way that this is going to work is we're still going to use a fluid drawer on the bottom, much like so. And then inside of here, we're going to have 2 dripstone upgrades and a pusher upgrade. Now, you can put 3 dripstone upgrades in here that will produce 60 every second, it does seem like. But this should be more than enough for right now. The pusher upgrade is going to send up into our pressurized tank our actual lava. Now, you may be wondering, well, can't this actually pull the fluids? Well, I tried it, and for some reason, it wasn't actually pulling any of the fluids into the Ender IO pressurized tank. So something to kind of keep a note. Now,
Okay.
and we just need to give it a bucket. But there's a problem. Whenever we do this bucket and we send this to here, it's actually going to put it in this top left slot for whatever reason. But we can block it from going in there if I just put the one item that can go into here, and that is a bottle. Now, you notice XP juice went in here, and that's because, yeah, we actually have to have some lava in here before we can actually get this started, right? So let's switch the bottom mode. I have it currently set to push pull. Just set it to none. Not going to matter. There we go. So now we can put the XP bottle in the top here. And so long as this doesn't run out of lava, we shouldn't have to worry about this. This is forever going to stay in this slot and shouldn't end up filling up. So all we're left with is just putting the fuel bucket in there. And notice it sent it back in and actually went into the right side. And there we go. We just have it constantly looping. Now, I don't know if the speed upgrade is going to be able to handle the amount of lava that's going through here, but yeah, this, hopefully, whenever the buffer fills up, should be good. We'll have to kind of test and see if we have enough lava for this. If not, we can always make more of these. This thing's producing like a sustainable 1000 RF per tick or more. This is actually kind of ridiculous. So let's actually put this to good use. So right here, I will go ahead and get that exact same setup placed in. Thankfully, all of these things hold their config. And yeah, just like so. This is the only one that doesn't. We actually have to modify this just to make sure the input is set for fuel. And everything is ready to go, right? We just have to put the bucket back in. Perfect. And then go ahead and start to get the power from here into our builder. And is this automatic? Let's see on these cables. It's automatic extract. We have to make sure always active. And then insert is enabled here. It's not actually sending power. Okay. Does that mean this needs to be set to output to get power out? Yes. Okay, so the output actually does matter. Look how fast that transferred. That's so quick, but I don't think we're going to have enough lava, and this bottle is really going to break.
I feel lied to.
XP bottle, it might be best just to have a glass bottle in here. And then
They said it wouldn't need power.
Actually putting XP juice inside of our, well, container. You know what? For right now, I'm also going to take out the speed upgrade because that is going to cost significantly more lava, I believe, in order to operate. So let's go ahead and just turn this on. And we are going to see some information here. It's going to be scanning those individual chunks. And already we've acquired 10 diamonds in just that short amount of time. And so far, it seems like this is keeping up. This is going to use quite a bit of power, by the way. I think it like maxes out at 20,000 RF per tick or something like that. But yeah, it should be mining really fast. You can see right here. And it's also not going to be using as much power as it would have been if we didn't actually infuse it. Now you may be wondering, will this actually mine all the modium and stuff? And the answer to that is supposedly no. We're not supposed to be able to use quarries on those things. Just something to kind of note. But after this little setup right here, I am significantly richer than I was just a few moments ago. When it comes to chunk loading, the main thing that we actually need to chunk load is just the builder itself, not necessarily the chunks that you have at mining. Now, when this runs out of power, and it definitely will at some point, it will say not enough power, but that doesn't mean it's not functioning. It just means it's not going to be running at its optimal speed as if you were giving it enough power, and should just run nonstop. Now, you know what? I tried to get this working earlier, and for some reason, this was not actually pulling in the liquids, but I did go ahead and set this to all 3 dripstone upgrades, and it's now actually pulling the lava in. But yeah, that's actually better, because that means that you can put all 3 of them in there, and you're now generating what would be, I believe, 2, 4, 6, yeah, 60 millibuckets every operation. Interesting. I think I know why it wasn't actually working. So if there's no fluid in its buffer, it won't pull from the drawer down here. So there has to be some fluid in the buffer, otherwise it will not pull anymore. But you know what? With the 3 upgrades, this is 100% sustainable now, because this number is actually increasing every operation. So it just went up to 2 buckets. And so if that keeps up, then that means that 3 is perfectly capable of keeping up with a single netherite furnace without the speed augment inside. So now to be able to gather all of the things, we are probably going to want a compression upgrade. And this is so good for these farms. The advanced compacting upgrade means that all of this will eventually compact into block form. And that also means the ores themselves. and is going to be 100% worth doing. I think I can take all of these out, for example, and let's see, put them back in. Is it going to automatically do it? It should. As soon as it receives enough to do another block, I think it will automatically calculate and then recompact all of them. But with that being said, we have not actually gotten through all of the chunks, and this is how many diamonds we've gotten so far. I'm thinking, though, we can go ahead and actually just have this start mining everything else. So here's where things get interesting. I'm going to go ahead and take this filter, and then I'm going to remove what we have here. Go into the tags, and we're going to do ores. And we're just going to do C ores. And what this is going to do is every single ore that exists that has that tag will now be mineable. So what I can do is I should be able to click this to reset the Y value and start it anew. And whenever we give this a level, a signal, this is going to start mining everything. And I mean everything. So it's at this point that I really need to focus on gathering as many diamonds as I can for this, because we're really going to want to upgrade this barrel with some stack upgrades. Don't get me wrong, the compression upgrade is a tremendous help, but oh, we are going to need some space. So the process of making some stack upgrades, and I think I might make 2 for this barrel. And if I can make at least 2 diamond stack upgrades, I think we'll be just fine. And thankfully I mined up those diamonds first, because now I have 2 stack upgrades that I can insert now into this barrel, giving me a tremendous amount of space, right? And by the way, we're also mining ancient debris, like, because there's nether underneath there. There's not going to be a lot of it, but it's still going to be able to mine it down there. But to put it in perspective, now that we have those 2 stack upgrades, each one of these slots can hold 16,000 items per slot. Pretty darn cool. I think this is...
Okay, so we need to find out how to get power. Power all the mods 10.
It doesn't matter where you're at in all the mods 10, you're going to need power, and the further on you progress throughout the mod pack, the more power you're going to need. My goal in this video is threefold. We're going to show you what power options you have at early game, mid game, and late game, give you a little bit of how to, especially on the early game options, and then highlight some good resources.
I would say
that you
we're
can
at
use to help
mid
develop
game.
later on as you get closer to the end game. My name's John Hall. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, let's talk about early game options. You just spawned into the world, you've got a little bit of a house, you're trying to do some things, but you're realizing that most everything... To show you how to build it, it's important to note if you made these in all the mods 9, the recipe has changed. Instead of using iron in the metallurgic infuser, now you use copper. We're going to throw a little bit of copper in there, put some redstone in here to charge it up. And what this is going to do is create us some infused alloy. So we need a couple of these in order to make the wind generators, but effectively all you're going to need is copper to make the infused alloys, osmium to make these basic control circuits, and then some redstone as well. Once you have those items, the wind generator is really, really simple to make. You need the 2 things we were talking about. The energy tablet is just more of the same, and then some gold. And then you just need the osmium ingots over the top. It creates a wind generator, and like we said, it kind of just sits here. Even works at night. Creates a pretty decent amount of power. Total power output for these is about 720 FE per tick. It's pretty good, but in order to run anything serious, you kind of need several of these. So I tend to put a couple of them together, especially early game. That way I just don't have to worry about it. Again, the perk of this over the iron generators is that you don't have to use any resources to run them. They just sit there, they run, they make you power. All right, option number 3 for early game is in a similar vein to the wind generators, and that is the solar generators. Go ahead and switch it to daytime. These solar generators generate a little more power than the wind generators do. The only difference is that it needs you have it, you can just set it there and let it run. That was a third option. Option number 4 is this right here. This is called a thermo generator. And basically all it does is it produces power based on the heat around it. So what we have set up is a thermo generator with a just block of lava below it. And it is currently creating about 40 FE per tick. This is the starter one, the very basic one that you can make. And all it's doing right now is pumping power out to this cable, which is plugged into a metallurgic infuser. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds for power, but Power is one of my favorite power mods. So this is a good option because it scales really well. There's no higher tier wind generators, and so you're just going to get what you get from those. However, these you can upgrade over time and eventually get to the Nitro one, which creates you a ridiculous amount of power. Now you might notice that it takes water over here on the side. It takes about 4 buckets of water total for the starter tier. What we've done here is we have a source block of water hooked up to a faucet that is turned on. It's running into a basic fluid tank with some fluid pipes that are piping it directly into here. So this is a great setup for like an infinite water source for anything you might need. The only thing you may potentially need later on is more water quicker. The faucet is kind of slow, so you may have to upgrade it later on. But for at least this setup, this is completely automated here. It just makes the power based off the heat below and takes the water directly from the source block using this little setup here. Especially for early game power, it is kind of important to name the chunks that you're in and that you have power set up in. To force load these chunks, all you have to do is hold the shift key and click them again once you already have them claimed. So now these chunks will only have to have one chunk loaded rather than having several, which can tend to lag your game at least a little bit. All right, so that's early game. Those are the options I would suggest there. Next up, let's talk about mid game and what our options are there. So these are the reactors by Powa, and I like them a lot. I think they're a very solid source of power. It does take resources. What we have to add is uranite, ice, coal, redstone, and a bucket of water to each of them. So to do this, all we do is we open it up, redstone, coal, ice, and uranite, and then we right click on the whole thing with a bucket of water. You'll notice it's going to start producing power for us. And it produces, even at just like the blazing level, very, very large amount of power very quickly. So it generates 9,000 FE per tick. Incredibly efficient. Again, same thing here. We add all those, put a bucket of water in there, and it starts generating the power for us. So the reactors and power are a great source mid-game. It also is cool because you can upgrade these and continue to use them as you get closer towards the end game. Because they can upgrade all the way to the nitro reactors, which we're going to see in a second, and it can create a very, very large amount of power.
What if I
All right,
don't
option number
want
2 are
resources?
these netherite generators. These are one of the most updated versions of those coal generators before, the iron generators that we showed. Just like the other ones, all you need to do is add some coal in there, and they'll start producing power. So if you have like an infinite source of coal, all you have to do is put those in here, and it'll generate 256 FE per tick incredibly quickly. And like we talked about, all it takes is just coal. So if you just want a simple source of power, that's a good option for you. You can stack a lot of these up and they don't take a lot of space because it's just one block. Now the last mid-game option for power is the upgraded version of the thermo generator that we talked about earlier. So this is the Niotic thermo generator, and it has a block of soul lava underneath it. To get soul lava, you have to go to the other. That's why this is kind of restricted to the mid-game section, because you have to.
All right, fine. I'm still in early game. Back to early game. Barrel. Sophisticated storage. Oh. We gotta be done in some minutes. Barrel. Gold barrel. Add tags, ors. Don't match on mod, ignore. Tags, ors. Tags, ors. Not the blood extractor. Remove. A nice simple lever. Not enough power. $256. U minus 120. That's 25, 28. Let's go a little crazy. 50 by 50. FE. FE/T. Magmatic generator, nether star generator. 8 times emerald generator. Ah. Let's go ahead and grab our emerald generator. Onto we actually only need 7. The copper generator, iron generator. Seven. Seven. Diamond generator. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're out of redstone. 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 $205 to $65. Let's go ahead and get some more emeralds. Sticks. Do I have 7 netherite? I'm close to 7 netherite. What point of structure if no netherite? Fine, I guess we'll have to go mining for it like normal people. But we'll have to do that later today. I am tapped. How do we make steel? It's generating materials. All right. We're gonna call it there for today. I might stay AFK here while I'm gone doing stuff. We'll give it plenty of coal to chew through. All right, we'll see y'all later. Goodbye.